particularly from the private capital side, whether you were really not a little bit concerned about all this free, quote-unquote, money coming in, taking away the innovative minds that are going to concentrate on how to get money out of the budget.
Well, first of all, contrary to what you may think about capitalism, I think there is a role. I think there is a role for government. Really, I think there's a lot of wasted rhetoric in the world about capitalism, socialism. Almost every economy is a mixed economy involving some element of government action and some element of private free enterprises. Is the question of where are you on the spectrum? And in my own studies of the history of the United States, the government has done the best when it has funded education to invest in people, number one, which a number of administrations, including the Obama administration, have supported. So I think investing in people is key, and investing in basic research is key. I think too little government money is invested in basic research. I think if you look at the actual results of government investment, they're always the greatest in the unintended byproducts of government research. A lot of work's been done on that. You know, the internet, you know, is really an outgrowth of defense spending to design a communication system that will survive a nuclear attack. And, you know, so the government thought it was funding this and it wound up funding that. But what's really, a lot of innovation came out of the space program, Star Wars program. Star Wars was a failure to achieve Star Wars, but it achieved a lot of other technologies that are actually applicable in clean tech. So I think the third thing, which unfortunately has fallen on hard times and is recently resuscitated, is the government since the 50s was a very large supporter of early stage venture capital through the SBA program. Unfortunately, most people aren't aware that the SBA program went bankrupt during the dot-com bust. And the absence of that program has truly hurt the United States by causing an absence of early stage venture capital. There's very little money available today for early stage venture, meaning companies that don't yet have a customer, that have a great idea but they don't have patented technology. Those kinds of ventures used to get funded by SBA-backed venture firms. All that has disappeared. There used to be, you know, over 100 firms in America that had government money that would fund people with a good idea. And I think it's very important right now because the investors in the private market today do not tolerate a very high degree of risk. So we are really incentivized to only invest in companies with customers, revenues, contracts, things like that. The early stage companies don't have that. So to summarize, I think the greatest role of government is, number one, to invest in people through education, and then in basic research, and then in early stage venture capital. If the government did those three things, it would be completely transformational. Where the government makes a mistake is when it tries to dictate the end result of what it wants to get out of its money. It's sort of like being a parent. You know, if you get good grades in school, I give you the money. I'll buy you a car if you stop dating Joe. You know, the government should get out of that business. We don't need parental government. So I think this program that Luis referred to, the ARPA-E program, is a first step in a very positive direction. It has money available for transformational technologies that are not yet completely commercialized, and I think it offers, you know, great hope.
You know, I think too that other countries see the challenges that have been discussed regarding government, U.S. government investment. So other countries are opening up their purse strings to also invest in these type of ventures. I mean, for example, in Abu Dhabi, they have a fund for clean technologies and environmental research worth about $500 million. And so they're looking to invest. And in China, they have funds as well. So other countries are looking to do this because they actually want to be the leader in this area. And what you'll find are companies like yours that if the U.S. government doesn't wake up, then you go to Adia or Mubadala or some places like that and present a good business plan, and they'll say, okay, I'm going to give you $100 million, but you invest your time here, you put an office space here. See, that's the key to when you work with developing countries in this area, you have to invest back into the economies. And you had mentioned about the project in Africa, in Kenya. That's what's making it successful is that your company's investing in Kenya. That's really, really important. And today, developing countries aren't as quote, dumb as they used to be in terms of being taken advantage of by the West. So they're saying, okay, we'll invest in you, but you have to invest in us. I'm just very blunt about the realities of this, and we need to keep this with the mindset. Another thing I want to say that's a challenge, and I don't want to get off the subject too much, but we need to talk about it. Some developing countries are resentful for these sustainability projects. And the reason is because they feel that now that the West has to find another way to live the comfortable life that we talked about earlier, not make any changes and be happy, we now are putting restrictions out there in terms of the environment. So you have a country that makes palm kernel oil. They're making money now in an Asian country that makes this, and so now they're upset. They're starting to be upset because they're saying to us, okay, now we're starting to make a profit. Now you're complaining about the environmental hazards of palm oil, and now we can send our kids to school and have a better way of life. So there needs to be a balance when we do these things. And we need to also recognize that in this process, when we're doing this, we need to have these things in mind. The one final point I'd like to make in this discussion has to also do with, I just lost my point, but anyway, it'll come back to me. But I do think that it's important that you need to consider these aspects of it. Oh, are we working for today, or are we really working for the future? Is this an intergenerational project? Is this really for the future, or is it for us to be comfortable for today for the next 5 or 10 years? And that's a question we need to ask ourselves. What are we really doing it like that? Because people want the profit now. But when you look at what the true meaning of sustainability is, it's talking about sustaining a real future after we're dead.